Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. Alright, we are 64 days away from the 2026 Daytona 500, so we are going to profile car number 64. Now, I haven't said this in a few videos, and if you're new to the countdown, maybe you understand why are we doing this, you know. Well, Glenn McReynolds on Track there at XM Radio started his countdown every day on X. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And a couple years ago, I'm like, you know what would be cool is to count down the car numbers. Well, what really kind of sparked that was on Dave Moody's Speedway on XM Satellite Radio, he does a Legend Series. And typically it's on Thursdays. There's a few on during the off-season, a few extra ones. Bobby Labonte was on last night, actually. And they talk to these legends of the sport, you know, the drivers, the champions. You know, there's other people that have made a very big impact on the sport of NASCAR racing. And his very last question is, we all don't get out of here alive. Once you're gone, how do you want to be remembered? And a lot of people said for this. And the one that really stuck with me was the King, Richard Petty. When he asked him that question, the King goes, I just want to be remembered. I'm like, holy crap. There are so many drivers that have driven in this sport, you know, 2,900 and some odd, almost 3,000 that have made at least one Cup start in 78 years. Some of those, yes, they were, you know, here for a few hundred races, maybe a dozen races. Maybe they won, maybe they didn't, but they were part of the fabric of the foundation of this sport. So I'm like, you know what? How can we remember some of these drivers who weren't champions, who didn't win a lot of races, that weren't here for a long time? Well, we'll start doing the countdown. I'm going to do some stuff in the off season next year, which I didn't get time to get done this year. I'm going to do like the best of the 50s, best of the 60s, which I've done some of this before. I'm going to kind of redo it all again and kind of put it all together in the off season next year in the 105 days that we have off. And so, doing like the best of the 50s, some of the drivers that maybe all time aren't some of the greatest, but for that decade they were, or for a little bit of that decade. And the same way with these drivers, you know, an Elmo Langley, a Tommy Gale, you know, drivers that we don't talk about on a daily basis that made an impact on this sport. To me, if you've driven at least one race, you are part of the fabric of the sport. We know the lawsuit really kind of changed a lot of the way people perceive NASCAR and where NASCAR is headed to the future. And, you know, there's some things that came out on both sides, teams and on the NASCAR side, that they don't really say positive things about the other side. So hopefully we can use the lawsuit and the settlement as that stepping off point for the future. You know, we can kind of look at the past, celebrate the past and what has happened, but also look toward the future. All right, so the future is we are 64 days away from the Daytona 500. We're going to profile car number 64. Unlike car 65, which had the very least amount of starts in NASCAR history, car 64 in the Cup Series has a few more. We're at 951 among 83 drivers, 2 wins, 62 top 5s, 209 top 10s, 2 poles. That first race for the 64 in the Cup Series was July 10th, 1949. The last race was May 21st, 2011. So it's been 14 seasons since we saw the number 11 in the Cup start, or the 64 in the Cup Series. Now, of those 951 starts, 788 times it was a Ford, 69 Plymouth, 50 Mercury, 28 Chevrolet, 27 Toyota, 7 Buick, 3 Oldsmobile, 2 Dodge, 2 Pontiac, and a Studebaker. Gotta love these one-off Studebaker, Nash, and all that kind of random stuff. Alright, Elmo Langley, former pace car driver, had the most starts in the number 64. Now, for me, when I think of Elmo Langley, I think pace car driver Elmo Langley. I think of that pace car driver that Dale Earnhardt used to screw with. And when I think of the 64, the first thing that comes to mind was the Durlube 64 Xfinity car with Dick Trickle, if I remember correctly. So there's certain car numbers that, you know, I'll talk about this some of them already, where there's iconic sponsors and drivers that's like, as soon as I think of them, I think of that person. A lot of that is the late 80s, so, you know, that tells you how long I've been a fan of this sport. Alright, Elmo Langley, 432 starts in the number 64. That is not an all-inclusive list of his starts. He started other races than other car numbers. The same way with, of the 83 different drivers that started the number 64, we're only going to talk about 6 of them. So, yeah, it's not an all-inclusive list. The all-inclusive list, you can go to driveraverages.com. You can type in the driver's name, you can type in the track type, you can type in the car number. It will take you to all of that information for that particular item that you search for. 2 wins for Elmo Langley, 53 top 5s, 165 top 10s, average finish 15.1. Tommy Gale, 205 starts, 2 top 10s, average finish 21.7. Johnny Allen, 64 starts, 6 top 5s, 22 top 10s, average finish 13.9. Clark Dyer, 30 starts, average finish 22.8. Shep Langdon, 24 starts, 7 top 10s, average finish 14.3. Bucky Blackburn, old Bucky. Bunky Blackburn, 18 starts, 1 top 5, 3 top 10s, average finish 18.3. Xfinity side, 283 starts for 32 different drivers, only one driver ever won, 2 wins, 40 top 5s, 74 top 10s. First start was March 20th, 1983, and we know the Xfinity Series actually started in 82, or the modern day Xfinity Series. Prior to that, it was part of the Sportsman's division, and a lot of those old Sportsman's records aren't available. And that's why I don't include a lot of the Sportsman stuff, because the Sportsman has been the step down from the Cup Series since 1951. But from 51 through 81, those eras of stats from the Sportsman divisions just aren't there. And there's a lot of champions. I'm actually going to do next year's stuff. I want to talk about each decade of champions and kind of a little bit about those champions each year. You know, Ralph Earnhardt won a ton of those championships. Bobby Allison, I believe, won. A couple other Cup guys won them, but the stats aren't there. You know, I wish they were, but they're not. The Cup Series stats are Xfinity and trucks, so that's what we'll kind of stick to. August 26, 2011 was the last time that 64 was on track in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series in 2026. I'm saying Xfinity Series because the last race one was under the Xfinity banner. I know a lot of people still call it the Busch Series. The old Bushwhackers, all the Cup guys coming down, which we found out this year that the Bushwhackers can run 10 races in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series versus 5 in previous seasons. Dick Trickle, 78 starts, those 2 wins, 16 top 5s, 26 top 10s, average finish 18.0. Jamie McMurray, 34 starts, 6 top 5s, 13 top 10s, average finish 18.4. David Stemme, 32 starts, 5 top 5s, 16 top 10s, average finish 14.7. There's one of those drivers that everybody had high hopes for when he came into the Cup Series and just fizzled away. And it's happened with a lot of drivers. There's been a lot of drivers that ran well in trucks, Xfinity, ARCA. They get the Cup. Yeah, I know, unfortunately, a lot of people are putting Ty Gibbs in that category after just 3 years in Cup. But, you know, give a kid time, you know. He's not running to the level of his teammates, correct. Neither are a lot of other teammates in the sport, you know. You look at Hendrick Motorsports. Alex Bowman's not running to the level of Larson and Byron and Elliott. Give Ty Gibbs a chance. He's an Xfinity champion and a truck champion. Or Xfinity champion, ARCA champion. So, just like with any, like David Stemme, you kind of got to give these drivers time, you know. 150, 200 starts, if you haven't actually showed promise, then maybe is it the team you're with? Can we look at Michael Waltrip, 460 some starts before he started winning races? He's a 2-time Daytona 500 winner. So, Daryl Lax, 17 starts, 1 top 10, average finish 18.4. Steve Wallace, the son of Rusty Wallace, 16 starts, average finish 24.6. Dirk Stevens, there's a name that I haven't heard in a while. 13 starts in the number 64, average finish 27.9. Truck side, this will be an all-inclusive list. 5 drivers have drove the number 64 in the Truck Series for 29 starts. Only 1 driver made multiple starts. 5 drivers drove the truck. May 27, 1995 was the first race, and then September 18, 2010 was the last race. So the only driver to make multiple starts in the 64 in the Truck Series. Michael Doken, 25 starts, 3 top 10s, average finish 22.1. Peyton Sellers, Jimmy Simpson, David Hall, Chase Manaroli, each made a start. Peyton finished 21st, Jimmy finished 26th, David finished 27th, and Chase Manaroli finished 30th. That's it for the Truck Series. It's just amazing on some of these numbers. There's not a lot of stats. It's crazy. There's so many numbers. There's 110 different numbers. I know the Cup Series, obviously, the 70-year history of it, they're going to have more of those numbers being used than what the Truck and Xfinity have. Those 110 numbers, there's no triple digits, only single digits. So from 0 through 99, those 100 numbers, and then 00 through 09 as well, those 10 numbers. So just 2 digit numbers that actually went into effect in 1972. Prior to that, yes, we did have it in the 50s and 60s, the triple digits. But as scoring changed and as the advent of electronic scoring, they needed just the 2-digit numbers. Plus, it was easier for the tower to see 2 numbers, bigger numbers, than 3 smaller numbers. And so that was part of the reason as well. And so they went to the 2-digit system. I think that was effective in 1972, kind of the modern era of NASCAR. Which that is another thing. In some videos next year, we're going to kind of break it down: the Grand National era, the Winston Cup era, the Chase era, the playoff era. I do like the playoffs, and I've talked about that before. And I enjoy playoffs. But I do understand more than likely next year we won't have playoffs. And I think a lot of that's going to be the PR part of the lawsuit. And that's fine, you know. But what I don't want to have happen, which I know will, and it happened before, over the next 35 years, and not longer, we're going to have no playoffs. Cool, great. Let's go back to kind of the old school. We need to change the point system first and foremost. We need to kind of, not even the old Latford system, the Winston Cup system, some version of which I've done a video about what I think about what should be done. But okay, we do that. Cool. When drivers start winning championships with races left, or you have the last, say, 10 races of the year, there's really no true championship battle because the driver who's leading the points has more than the 2 race leading points, and we're not talking about points because of that. I don't want to hear people complain about they need to do something. They keep winning the championship early. There's no championship battle at the end of the year. I don't want to hear that at all, because you know you will. We know we will. But you know, if we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. For everyone that says, well, it's closer to that is 100% correct. It's closer nowadays. But based on just the points, overall points, 2022, the first year of the next gen, the year we had the most different winners, Chase Elliott would have won the championship with a race left. But, you know, it's not going to happen every year, no. But it would have happened one of the 4 years in this Gen 7 car. So it could happen. But anyway, we'll see what happens when NASCAR announces that. But that's just my thinking right now. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show. Don't just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports channel content.